I'm Steve Douglas. I work at Microsoft. I work in the partner sales team. So my primary role is to help our SI partners build their practices around Link. Link's just been a fantastic product for us. It's been hugely disruptive in the marketplace. It's brought a fresh look at unified communications. Obviously, it's purely software-powered unified communications and telephony, which has really kind of shaken up the market. And it's been one of our fastest-growing products. You know, I've been at Microsoft for 17 years, or just over 17 years, and it's one of our fastest growing products in all that time. So it's been a huge success for us. Specifically in the UK, if we look at new voice lines being sold into the UK, we're currently capturing about 35% of that market. And as I say, that's for purely new voice lines, not incumbent, install base. Globally, we've sold, actually got deployed about 5 million voice lines. So again, just reflecting on that, the success that we've seen with Link, not only in the UK, but also globally. For us, unified communications means bringing all those modalities of communication, be that voice conferencing, video conferencing, instant messaging, telephony, all into a single unified client for the end user that's intuitive, it's easy to use, with a single username and password, no PIN numbers and passcodes, and that's what we really mean by unified. Although there's some unification at the back end, it's really that end user experience that drives both the success and the adoption of the technology from the end user perspective. It's a common question and good one. We see customers really adopting Link in a number of scenarios. So if you take an example where customers already maybe made some investment in IP telephony, maybe they've invested a year ago, 2 years ago, financially it makes really no sense to rip all that out and replace with Link. And we wouldn't necessarily propose that is the right thing to do. So in scenarios like that, we would absolutely advocate a process of integrating Link with that existing investment. However, if you've got a customer that is on a refresh cycle for their telephony, maybe it's an older TDM that needs to be replaced, it's coming to end of life for maintenance, whatever it might be, then we would absolutely compete head to head with what you would consider to be the traditional telephony vendors, and we'd be happy to do that. And we've got customers like AstraZeneca, BP, Shell, Dell, Sprint, Swiss Telecom. Have got, in some instances, tens of thousands of users deployed on enterprise voice today. Yeah, I think it's an interesting observation that you make. I think very often that perception comes from the fact that the customer's probably got an enterprise agreement, and an enterprise agreement will have by default some Link components as part of that licensing framework, which I guess leads to that perception that, well, I've got Link already. But we license Link at different levels. There's an entry level which is for IM and presence. We have an enterprise level, which would be typically in addition to that agreement, which provides the conferencing capabilities. And then additionally, there's a license for the telephony, and we call that the Plus Cal. And typically, that's not a default part of an enterprise agreement for a customer. That's something that they would add either when they sign their agreement, or they would add at a later date into that agreement. Do it. It's really interesting to see, both from a customer and a partner perspective. What we typically see is that for partners who put in a pilot for customers, or a proof of concept, or however you want to position it, very, very, very rarely do they not lead to a deployment of the technology, because the end users adopt it, they see value in it. It improves the way that they work, and they find it intuitive to use. So very rarely do these things come out. So I would always advocate doing a pilot, doing a proof of concept, trialing it. What should they look for in a partner? Lots of different things, I think. I think particularly if you're going to do telephony, so you're considering Link for enterprise voice. I think in most instances it's imperative that you work with a partner that understands voice. We have a number of what we might call traditional Microsoft partners have not come from that background. And although they can bring Microsoft skills in Active Directory and infrastructure and Exchange, that's great. But I think one of the key things to look out for is a partner that has both telephony skills and some of those Microsoft infrastructure skills, because you'll need both.